In the world of crime, some cases fade with time, becoming mere footnotes in history. Others, however, remain embedded in the collective soul of society like a thorn. The case of Philadelphia's The Boy in the Box was one such mystery. It was not merely a murder investigation, it was the story of a city's collective guilt. A story where a precious child was hidden in plain sight, yet had no one to call his own. The America of 1957 was in the midst of a cultural revolution. Rock and roll was finding its rhythm, and the chill of the Cold War was intensifying. At that time, the Fox Chase section of Philadelphia was largely rural, filled with thickets and underbrush. On the afternoon of February 25th, the air was biting cold. A 26-year-old man, identified in historical records as John, was checking his illegal muskrat traps near Susquehanna Road. He was uneasy, knowing that hunting in that area was prohibited. While navigating through the brush, he spotted a shiny object. It was a cardboard box with bold letters that read, "Fragile Baby Bassinet." It was a box from the department store JC Penney. The young man thought it might contain discarded items. When he approached and opened the lid, his heart sank. Inside lay the body of a small boy. Terrified, the man fled the scene without calling the police, fearing he would be arrested for poaching. The following day, February 26th, another man named Frederick Bananas was driving along the same road. He saw a rabbit dart into the brush and stopped his car to follow it. He stumbled upon the same box. Initially, he thought it might be a discarded doll, but as he looked closer, he realized it was a real child. He immediately ran to his car and notified the nearest police station. Police cruisers arrived at the scene within minutes. Detectives Remington Bristow and Bill Kelly cordoned off the area. In an era where modern crime scene preservation was in its infancy, the police still exercised great caution. As the forensic team examined the box, they noted several haunting details that would make this case incredibly complex. The child was entirely nude. He was wrapped in a frayed, cheap and soiled cotton blanket with an odd checkered pattern. The boy had golden brown hair, but it had been hacked off in a crude, hurried manner. Clumps of hair still clung to his shoulders and chest. Police believed the killer cut his hair immediately before or after death to prevent identification. The boy's fingers and toes were wrinkled and white from being submerged in water for a long time, a forensic phenomenon known as washerwoman's hands. This suggested he might have been kept in a tub before or after his death. There were deep bruises on his forehead, chin, and cheeks. He had a total of 7 to 8 old scars, suggesting he had been a victim of chronic domestic violence for weeks or months. The following day, the chief medical examiner of Philadelphia performed the autopsy. Forensic findings: the boy died due to blunt force trauma to the head. He was severely underweight for his age and malnourished. His ribs were clearly visible. Doctors estimated his age to be between 4 and 6 years old. A small surgical scar was found on his left ankle. At the time, such marks were common when hospitals administered intravenous IV drips. Police scoured records of every hospital in Philadelphia, but no matching surgery was found. The Philadelphia Police Department made this case a matter of prestige. They were certain someone would recognize the child. Since the boy was deceased, an artist retouched his photo to make him look alive. Posters were printed with his eyes open. 400,000 posters were plastered across the city and neighboring states. Police used a unique strategy. The Philadelphia Gas and Electric Company sent the boy's photo with every monthly bill. His face reached almost every household, yet no one came forward to say, "This is my son." Police cross-referenced files for missing children across America, but the lack of coordination between states made it nearly impossible to find a match. When human witnesses failed to appear, detectives turned to the objects found with the boy. Police traced the box to a JC Penney store in Upper Philadelphia. They found that only 12 such bassinets were sold between November 1956 and February 1957. Police tracked down 11 of the buyers, all of whom were innocent. The 12th buyer, who paid in cash, was never found. The blanket was traced to a specific mill, but those blankets were mass-produced in the thousands and sold nationwide. No solid lead could be established from the fabric. As the winter of 1957 turned to spring, the police files grew thick with dead ends, but the clues grew sparse. While most investigators were reassigned to other cases, Remington Bristow refused to let go. Bristow was not a typical detective. He worked in the medical examiner's office, and his heart bled for the nameless boy. Bristow believed the child came from very close to the crime scene. He spent his own money to keep the investigation alive. In 1960, he visited a psychic who pointed him toward a house with a wooden fence and a small body of water. Bristow found a foster home, a private home for orphaned children, located just 1.5 miles from the scene. He visited the home posing as a potential client. There, he discovered two things that chilled him to the bone. 1. He saw a cardboard box there that was identical to the one used for the boy's body. 2. He saw blankets hanging on a clothesline that were of the exact same design as the one wrapped around the child. Bristow suspected that the boy belonged to the stepdaughter of the man who ran the home. His theory was that the child was an unwanted birth and had died due to starvation or physical abuse. Although the police investigated, they lacked concrete evidence at the time. Years later, in 1998, police conducted DNA tests on that family, but there was no match. Bristow passed away in 1993, maintaining until his last breath that the truth was hidden within that foster home. After decades of silence, the Philadelphia police suddenly received a phone call in 2002. A woman, identified only as Martha, or M, claimed she knew exactly who the boy was. M was an educated woman who worked at a library, but her testimony was as terrifying as a horror film. The sensational claims of M. She claimed her mother purchased the boy from his biological parents in 1954. The boy's name was Jonathan. According to M, the boy was kept in their basement for 2.5 years. Her mother subjected him to horrific mental and physical abuse. M claimed that one evening in February 1957, her mother was bathing the boy. Out of fear or illness, the boy vomited in the bathtub. Her mother flew into such a rage that she slammed the boy's head against the floor. He lost consciousness and died shortly after. Her mother was the one who cut the boy's hair and placed him in the JC Penney box before dumping him in the brush. Police initially found M's story credible because she mentioned details only known to the forensic doctors, such as the boy having eaten boiled cabbage before his death. However, M suffered from severe mental health issues. Neighbors reported that they had never seen another child in that house. Due to a lack of physical evidence, this story also remained an unsolved thread. In October 1957, when it became clear that no one was coming for the boy, police buried him in Philadelphia's Potter's Field, a cemetery. He remained there for 41 years. However, in 1998, as DNA technology began to advance, police decided to exhume his remains. They wanted to give him a more dignified resting place. He was moved to Ivy Hill Cemetery. A new headstone was placed at his grave, reading, "America's Unknown Child." A small bench was placed nearby where people could leave toys and flowers. Every year, Philadelphia police officers and local citizens gathered there. The boy had become a son to the entire city. When DNA was extracted from the boy in 1998, the technology was not yet advanced enough. Scientists could only extract mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA, which only provides information regarding the maternal line. This allowed them to rule out some suspects, but it could not provide the child's identity. For the next 20 years, the case went back into the cold case files. But behind the scenes, groups of experts like the Vidocq Society continued to work on it. They met every year, attempting to link old clues with new technology. They were waiting for a revolution that only science could provide. That revolution arrived in the form of genetic genealogy. When the boy's remains were first exhumed in 1998, forensic science was still in its infancy compared to today. The DNA sample extracted by scientists was highly degraded. At the time, only mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA analysis was possible. While this helped exclude several suspects, it could not point to a specific name. During this period, the Philadelphia Police Department's cold case unit refused to give up. Every few years, they would reopen the case files. A new generation of detectives arrived, carrying forward the work of their predecessors, Bill Kelly and Remington Bristow. The greatest challenge for these detectives was that most of the physical clues from 1957, such as the blue blanket and the cardboard box, had deteriorated over time or had been lost in police warehouses. All they had left were old photographs and those tiny fragments of DNA. After 2010, a revolutionary technique emerged in the world of crime solving: genetic genealogy. This was the same technology that helped capture the notorious Golden State Killer in 2018. Scientists extracted DNA from the boy's bones once again. This time, they utilized autosomal DNA, which provides a map of a person's entire lineage from both the mother's and father's sides. This DNA profile was uploaded to public databases such as GED Match and Family Tree DNA. Detectives then began building a digital family tree. They searched for individuals whose DNA partially matched the boy's. For example, if a person in the database was identified as the boy's third cousin, detectives would trace that person's ancestors back to the 19th century to find the connection. A team of detectives and genealogy experts, including the renowned Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick, spent thousands of hours scouring old birth certificates, death records, and census data. The direction of the search. 1. They first identified families living in Philadelphia in the 1950s. 2. They then narrowed their focus to families who had a child around 1953, the boy's estimated birth year, for whom no later records existed. 3. Finally, they found a family with one branch linked to the Zarelli family and another to the Plunkett family. By the end of 2021, detectives had a definitive name. However, before making an official announcement, they had to obtain DNA from the boy's living relatives for 100% confirmation. When DNA was taken from the mother's family members, the result was a positive match. A press conference was called at the Philadelphia Police Headquarters. The room was thick with tension and emotion. After 65 years, Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw stepped to the microphone. She spoke the words the world had waited generations to hear. Today, we are finally returning that child's identity to him. The boy in the box's real name is Joseph Augustus Zarelli. New facts about Joseph. Date of birth, January 13, 1953. Parents. Police revealed that his biological parents were from a prominent Philadelphia family. His father was Augustus J. Zarelli, and his mother was Mary Elizabeth Abel Plunkett. Siblings. Several of Joseph's half-siblings are still alive today. They had no idea they had a brother who had met such a tragic fate. Giving the boy a name was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of a new, more complex investigation. Joseph died in 1957, and both of his biological parents had since passed away. New points of investigation. Police are now trying to determine who had custody of Joseph between 1953 and 1957. Was he placed for adoption? Was he in a foster home? Or was he living with one of his biological parents? It was clear that Joseph had suffered horrific violence. The old scars on his body indicated that he had become a burden or an object of hatred for someone. While the killer is likely no longer alive, police state they are still searching for anyone who was close to that family at the time. When Joseph's name was announced in December 2022, the world wanted to know who his parents were and why they had never searched for him. Investigation revealed that Joseph's mother, Mary Elizabeth, came from a modest Philadelphia family. In the 1950s, being an unmarried mother carried a massive social stigma. Records indicate that Mary and Augustus were not married at the time of Joseph's birth. Mary passed away in the 1990s. Her other children, Joseph's half-siblings, are still alive, but had never heard Joseph's name mentioned within their family. Joseph's father, Augustus, belonged to a prominent business family. He passed away in 2014. His family informed the police that they were never told Augustus had another son. The greatest mystery remains. Where was Joseph between 1953, birth, and 1957, death? Police believe Joseph was either informally given away for adoption or was living in a place where no records were kept. This explains why no one called the police after seeing his photo in 1957. Even his parents' neighbors likely didn't know a child existed. The boy in the box case was not just a murder mystery. It fundamentally changed the approach to child safety in America. When Joseph was found in 1957, there was no national database for missing children. The failure of this case highlighted the urgent need for states to share information. Today, NCMEC helps reunite thousands of children like Joseph with their families. Joseph's case proved that decades-old cold cases could be solved through genetic genealogy. Many U.S. states have now established special funds and teams dedicated solely to using DNA genealogy for unsolved crimes. This case opened society's eyes to the reality of child abuse. In the 1950s, domestic violence was often considered a private matter, but Joseph's tragedy turned it into a recognized social crime. On January 13, 2023, on what would have been Joseph's 70th birthday, a special service was held at Ivy Hill Cemetery. Joseph's old headstone, which read "America's Unknown Child," was replaced. A beautiful granite stone now stands there, inscribed with large letters, Joseph Augustus Zarelli, born January 13, 1953, found February 25, 1957. Below the name, a small message is engraved. In our hearts, he is unknown no more. To this day, people leave toys, small shoes, and flowers at the site. Retired Philadelphia police officers still visit to salute Joseph. For them, this was not just about closing a case. It was about fulfilling a 65-year-old promise. The story of Joseph Augustus Zarelli teaches us that truth can be suppressed or buried, but it can never be erased. In 1957, he was found in a trash box, discarded by society. But in 2022, he became a symbol of the victory of science and human compassion. While his killers may never be brought to justice in a court of law, returning Joseph's identity is the greatest justice of all. He will no longer be remembered as a stray, but as a son, a brother, and a human being. This story is dedicated to all the nameless innocents who are still waiting for justice and their identity. If you found the heart-wrenching true story of Joseph Augustus Zarelli and our deep dive into this case impactful, please make sure to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe that justice served after 65 years is enough? We'd love to hear your perspective. For more deep dives into mysterious cold cases and true crime stories, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update on our latest investigations. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next true story.